What's up, everybody? Sean here, 40-year-old physiotherapist, here to talk to you about my training and some strength training concepts, and that pain is a deficit in performance. Just a new way to think about pain. All right, today's training session brought to you today by Train Heroic. I'm following along the workout, and you can follow along at home if you join my athlete team. We are all athletes in our 40s, athletes over 40, just trying to get athletic. For the cheap price of $1 a day, you can get some really good training and meet your athletic goals. So yeah, pain being a deficit in performance. This is something I've been talking about a lot with my patients. It's just kind of a nice way to reframe what's going on with your body, and is more of a movement optimist sort of pro-exercise way of going about your life, because 90% of my job when I see patients all day is just providing reassurance. And 90% of that reassurance is, yeah, I know this hurts, but engaging in activity is not going to cause more damage. And I can just see it on the patients' faces. They're just, it's a sigh of relief, because when you're in pain and you have no idea what's going on, you're just kind of afraid to move. And sometimes you just need another person, a professional, to check you out and just say, yeah, man, this is not anything serious. I'm getting more flexible at this. A lot of that reassurance is just that pain does not equal damage. And instead, we just reframe it and think of it as a deficit in performance. So unless you have some kind of functional instability or your joint is coming out of place, like you lose control of your arm or your leg, you just need to probably get a referral from your doctor, go see your healthcare professional, go see a physical therapist and get checked out. By the time you get on a physical therapist table, the likelihood that you're dealing with a major, traumatic, crazy injury or on the precipice of getting a traumatic injury is very, very, very low. Turns out that most musculoskeletal orthopedic issues tend to resolve right around the 3-month mark. If I think about my injuries, hamstring strain, quad strain, probably this back strain I recently sustained, that Achilles tendinopathy thing I was going through in the summer, the year before that when I had Achilles tendinopathy, when I had bilateral patellar tendinopathy. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. If I really zoom out and think about what I did, you just give yourself that time frame, just like things are not going to be normal-ish for the next 3 months. And then you meet each joint and muscle where it's at, load it appropriately. And that's where things like RPE, autoregulation, not overdoing it, a lot of the themes from this channel that you'll learn come into play, because you're basically using your pain as a limiter. So we're thinking 3-4 out of 10 is kind of the highest level of pain that I'm willing to endure, because I don't want to create a negative spiral where I'm overreaching and creating 8, 9, 10 and possibly risking injury. So that's our limiter. And then we're using things like RPE to kind of gauge how intense a set is, and we're not overreaching on that front. That can be at the level of your injury. So just quickly, when I strained my back and I wanted to get back to deadlifting, it started with deadlifting with my hands on my thighs, and then with my hands not on my thighs, and then I would hold really light weights, and then I would increase the range of motion until 7 days later I was able to deadlift. The same is going to be true. It's just kind of grading your activity and creating that performance, creating that stepwise path to eventually get back to where you once were. That's how all rehab goes. That's how most musculoskeletal issues go. And so don't be afraid of your pain. Work with it, treat it like a signal, and that you need to back off some things, calm it down, and then build it back up slowly. It can be that simple. So I hope to be putting out some resources to kind of address this sort of joint by joint idea, or individual muscles, individual injuries, to kind of help you on your rehab or comeback journey from nagging injuries or just kind of aches and pains that you're experiencing. But I'll give you this kind of general advice, is that usually, in most cases, musculoskeletal pain is okay. There are exceptions like bone, like instability, like torn ligaments, and that's why you go and see a healthcare professional. But usually it's okay to exercise. And so that's why my training program is very general, and I treat my kind of nagging injuries as the limiters to how much weight I can put on it. and how much intensity I can apply to it. If you're really interested in joining my team and have a physical therapist and strength coach organize your training so that you're not getting too injured, you're not getting too beat up, and maybe you're even creating a more robust sort of anti-fragile body that can handle the stresses of life, handle the stresses of sport and performance. Together on this larger scale, we can start stacking the layers of performance and help you achieve what you want to do.